All right, folks. Joining me on today's special segment is my good friend Jaime Blasco, CTO and co-founder over at Nudge Security. Jaime, welcome to the program. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you, James. Yeah, nice to see you again.
Thanks to have you here. We're talking about the Cyberhaven incident that you apparently don't have a life on Christmas Day, and you just kind of started tweeting about it. I was following you on Twitter as you were kind of going through the incident. It's kind of disappeared a little bit, but I don't think it should disappear. It's significant. It it took place. They've tried to downplay it. I don't believe it. For our audience who haven't heard about the Cyberhaven incident that happened on Christmas Day, Jaime, why don't you give everyone a little bit of background on what happened on December 25th?
Yeah, definitely. So I saw a tweet from Cyberhaven, kind of giving an update that their Chrome extension, like those browser extensions that you install in your browsers. So apparently, a malicious update had happened, and they got it pretty quickly. And kudos to them to do it during Christmas Day when the security teams are all on vacation, and they had the means to actually find out pretty quickly, and they did a pretty decent job, to be honest, just like handling the incident, communicating with customers. But long story short, they got a spear phishing email from an email that looked that it was coming from the Google Chrome store, asking the email address that is it's public because it's in your Chrome store page. They send that spear phishing email there. Obviously, when you see that email, it was pretty well crafted, kind of like, hey, click here, to review the privacy policy, blah blah blah. That open OAuth grant consent screen that if the developer accepted that grant, it will grant access to the attacker to basically interact with the Chrome web store. So the developer did it. It clicked on the consent, and we talk about those OAuth grants and how dangerous there are in previous episodes. But basically, the attacker very quickly used that access to modify the Chrome extension from Cyberhaven and add code that was able to collect cookies credentials from, in this case, Facebook business, but potentially it could have collected cookies and access tokens from pretty much any application in the browser that you interact in the browser.
Yeah, so it kind of led to a whole broader discussion around mitigation. Now, for everyone listening and watching, what kind of mitigation would you expect to be done when a browser extension challenge or incident like this happens?
Yeah, starting with the visibility, like most people, most companies we talk to, they don't even have the ability to list all the extensions that they either manage or their employees have installed in every type of browser out there, because it's not just Chrome, right? You can install extensions in Firefox, in Edge. So you're gonna have managed extensions, and in the case of Cyberhaven, it wasn't like an employee installed that extension. This was something that the company had bought, and it has deployed through the MDM or similar tools. So this is a little bit tricky because it was an auto update that happens. So this is more from a supply chain perspective, right? How you are handling those vendors, and obviously this incident was all about how do you respond quick response level of access that extension had during that period of time, and do an incident response to basically invalidate all the credentials that have gone through those browsers that had that version during the period that it was compromised. So it was very challenging, and many security teams had a few days of sweating because this was a pretty unique scenario.
Yeah, well, this unique scenario leads to a greater, broader discussion around managing browser extensions, kind of as a security program, and kind of the cyber risks that exist with it. What are some of the best practices to do just that?
Yeah, so for Chrome in particular, since it's the one we are talking about here, unless you are using the Chrome enterprise browser offering, there isn't a lot you can do. Once you have that enterprise subscription, you can basically do the same. that you do with OAuth grants, where you can say, hey, I don't allow my employees to install browser extensions. I have to approve them. Or here is a list of browser extensions that I approve for you. Now, that being said, this wouldn't have fixed the issue with Cyberhaven, because remember, Cyberhaven is something that is in my supply chain. I have done a security review and I install in all my endpoints. So again, there is a lot you can do for this particular scenario besides being able to respond quickly, in the sense of like as soon as you know about this Cyberhaven incident, being able to uninstall that extension as quickly as possible from all your endpoints. And again, that comes to having that visibility and having the ability to uninstall extensions at scale. That many people still struggle with that. Now, for other scenarios, you could have a system that basically does risk scoring of those extensions and the updates as well. Right. In this case, a system that scores changes in those extensions will have been able to find these things. And it's something that Google, whenever you submit a new update to the Google Chrome store, Google is doing those reviews. Obviously, they didn't catch this one, but there are other companies that have the ability to give you more detailed risk scores about those updates and those extensions. So you can automate things like, hey, if there's an update on an extension that introduces some level of risk, I may be able to respond that in real time. But again, this is an extremely challenging scenario because that was a security company that was, the extension belonged to a security company. So there is a level of trust that you already have on that company.
Absolutely. And that kind of highlights the fact that your security vendors are still vendors and need to be treated just the same as you would treat a non-security vendor. Jaime, thank you so much for coming on the show today, folks. Jaime Blasco, CTO, co-founder over at Nudge Security. You can check out more at nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub for a lot more details there with our friends over at Nudge. Thank you, Jaime, so much, everyone. Thank you. We'll go back to the show here in just a moment.